Welcome to MLB The Show, where triumphant sluggers and joystick heroes are one and the same. I'm your host, Nico, and since our last episode aired, we had a monumental development. MLB and MLB The Show teamed up to create a Players League, featuring one representative from each of the 30 ball clubs. Later in the episode, we'll recap all the wild finishes, self-home runs, and shameless victory celebrations.
Let's talk about it! Let's talk about it! Mike's not in the building! Mike's not in the building!
The master of ceremonies for the Players League, Robert Flores of the MLB Network, will join us later in the show to help break down the first week of play.
But in the leadoff spot, we have two very special guests joining the show.
Kevin Heffernan and Steve Lemme, the co-creators of True TV's Tacoma FD and stars of comedy classics Super Troopers and Beerfest.
They're seasoned comedic actors, but their proudest moment might be their rec softball league championships.
What team are you guys a fan of, and did you play ball growing up?
We're both pretty hardcore Yankee fans, and we played baseball. We had a Broken Lizard softball team for many years, and we won a couple championships. And we actually, relived some of it in this week's episode on Tacoma FD, where we had the softball team from Tacoma FD playing the Cops, which is fun. And so we won a couple championships. We had a couple good seasons, and then we hung it up as champions. I don't know if Lemme was there. There's our trophies. Look at
this is blood, sweat, and tears right here. Not of us, of the other teams. This right here, these teams. I mean, we dominated. We dominated for 3 seasons. We dominated.
Look at one of those nameplates. Put the nameplate up to the camera, Lemme, so they can.
First, you'll see it says first right there.
Right.
Open C division.
Yes.
I hope you know that means that's the worst division. Slow pitch, meaning a high arc. It's not even like fast softball. You have to throw it really high. If you don't throw it above the shoulders, it's a ball. Los Lagartos, which is Spanish for the lizards. 2006.
There you go, man. Glory days, Chris. There was always one team in our division, and of course, this is LA, right? So one team in our division that was put together by Michael Bay, the director, the action movie director, and he would put a team together of all former baseball players, former minor league baseball players, stuntmen. And he would be the one guy who was not that good, and then he'd have like all these ringers, and then you go kick the crap out of all the teams, and they would all kind of kiss his ass and whatever like that. And so that was one of our big opponents, right, for years.
And one of the guys on his team was Isaiah Mustafa, who is he's the Old Spice guy.
Hello, ladies. Look at your man. Now back to me. Now back at your man. Now back to me.
Former Kansas City Chief, former NFL football player.
Yeah.
That's who was on the team. And yeah, it's true. Michael Bay would like hit the ball weakly. Everybody else would cream the ball. He'd come up. He's like holding the baseball bat backwards. And I'm probably talking myself out of a job.
Yeah,
right?
I'm never going to part in a Michael Bay movie now, Lemme. You're screwed, bro.
Whatever. He was never going to put me in. And everybody would be like, he'd hit it. He'd make it to first base. And, everybody would be like, good hit, Mikey. Good hit, Mikey. And, whatever.
There's something really comforting about Bay, like directing his team, and they just hit bombs. Like they're just bomb hitters.
They had all a professional experience. It was embarrassing. They kicked the crap out of everybody.
But we still got this, baby.
Got that trophy.
If your Tacoma squad had to play the Super Troopers department, who's taking home that trophy in the softball rec league?
The Lagartos? Because this is a good team right here, the Lagartos.
We had some ringers.
In 2006. Our Tacoma FD, we got a couple of heavy hitters. I mean, Granny, Marcus Henderson, who plays Granny, is a former college football player.
Alabama State, right?
Yeah, Division I football player. And then Ike, played by Gabe Hogan, he's just jacked. And he's Canadian, plays hockey and, pounds people. So I have a feeling he would cream the ball. And then Eugene is pretty jacked himself, and I bet Hassie could smack the ball.
Yeah, the Tacoma team would probably win.
Yeah, no love for Jay there. You don't think Jay's got?
Well, the funny thing is, Jay was only on these teams for a couple of games, and he was terrible.
Right, and he quit.
Terrible. The first season we were like the Bad News Bears, and we had a lot of dead weight, and he was one of those guys. And yeah, he quit because he couldn't even catch a fly ball. I don't think I'm even exaggerating, right, Kev?
No, I mean, with all due respect.
With all due respect.
One of my all-time favorite films from you guys is Beerfest. If you guys had to build a Beerfest team using only major league players, put on your GM caps, who would you pick?
Well, I'll tell you this. We went out one night. I don't know if I'm allowed to tell this kind of stories. We went out one night with Adam Dunn and Chipper Jones. We just had these guys that came to a game of ours, right? Zimmerman, Chipper Jones. We went out one night, had some beers with them. And Adam Dunn is a hell of a drinker. He put back some beers, and we were like, the next day we were wrecked, and he had a game, and we assumed that he would, not do well. I think he had 5 RBIs and 2 home runs in that game. We were listening to it and watching it and marveling at the fact that he was going out there and killing it. So I would put Adam Dunn on my Beerfest team.
I think I'd put Sean Chacon on.
That's a deep cut, Lemmy. That's a deep cut, man. That's a deep cut.
Well, there was, okay, how about this?
J.J.
Hardy and Jeff Supan and Sean Chacon. We were down in, we're in Nashville or something?
Yeah.
And they were rehabbing. We ran into each other. We were doing a show. We ran into each other in the hotel lobby. And J.J. Hardy was like, hey, I know you guys. And we wound up going out with those guys and hanging out. And Sean Chacon was there. And we just whooped it up. The other one I was going to say is definitely for our team would be Morneau, Justin Morneau.
Oh, yeah, Morneau. Yeah. We've had beers with Morneau, and we're fans of his. He's fans of Super Troopers.
It's magical.
It's laughing at me.
I wish I could brush my teeth with it.
I want to put my dick in it.
I wanted to put its dick in me.
Of all the people in Monument Park, which one are you taking on your Beerfest team?
Monument Park?
Thurman Munson, baby. You got to do that.
He invented chugging.
Thurman Munson would drink beers in the locker room after you'd see him being interviewed and drinking a beer. You know what I mean? Those are the good old days.
Yeah, and so Kevin would take Thurman, and then I'd have to go with Babe Ruth because we'd be drinking. But with Babe Ruth, you'd be also like whoring too, just so.
Eating hot dogs and drinking beers.
Yep, absolutely.
And whoring.
So on this show, we talk a lot about the history of baseball video games. I was wondering if you guys have kind of a favorite baseball video game that you played in the past.
I used to play on the Apple II. There was a great video game where you could use Yankees teams from history, like those 1920s and 30s Yankees teams, and they would just Babe Ruth. They would just come up and cream the ball. EA Sports. I have an EA Sports baseball right now, and God, I demolished my 8-year-old kid on it the other day. He can't figure out how to pitch me a curveball, so he's just throwing meatballs down the middle. I'm smacking home runs.
What about you, Kevin?
I'm a terrible video game guy. I mean, Coleco football was like the biggest sport thing that I played. But I played a couple years ago. We got into a little thing with the Wii when the Wii was hot. You could actually go through the motions of it. And I play with my kids a lot on that one. But I defer to Lemmy in the video game part.
Someone is born with a wetter mouth than the average person. Does that mean they are more likely to be plus-sized because food tastes better to them?
Or if you're born plus-sized, maybe you're genetically born with a wetter mouth, which makes food tastier, which keeps you plus-sized.
Obviously, our viewers right now are all quarantined, and they're begging for new things to watch on TV. For those of them who haven't checked out Tacoma yet, could you guys give us just your best elevator pitch for why they need to binge it right this second?
Super Troopers at a fire station.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good way to go. I mean, the reality is we always make movies where you create a world where you feel like you're hanging out with your friends. And I think this show is much like that, where you feel like you're just hanging out, having laughs with your friends. I think that's what we all need. People should watch the show for that.
Yeah.
I got a question for Chris.
Yeah, sure.
Are you happy that the Mets season has been postponed, or are you sad that the Mets season has been postponed?
Oh, snap.
So, this was the year we were going to win the World Series, right? This was the year. Yeah. So, God was just like, we can't let these guys win. That's just ridiculous. Like, they have to be miserable.
With the real season postponed, at least Chris and I as Met fans could take solace that they can't disappoint us if there are no games being played. We do have some rooting interest right now, as one New York Met, Jeff McNeil, is representing the team in the MLB Players League. The formation of the Players League got us so jacked up, we decided to scrap our own simulation from the first 2 episodes the second we heard the announcement.
All right, this was dumb. Dump it. Trash it. This was garbage.
That's a good idea. Dump it.
Last week, the league kicked off its 29-game season, in which each team will play the other once in games set for 3 innings in length, rather than the typical 9. The games take place nightly and are live streamed through Twitch. The 8-team postseason is set to begin on April 30th, featuring a best of 3-game format for the quarterfinals and semifinals. The World Series, however, will be a best of 5-game series set to begin on May 2nd. We'll be covering every angle of the Players League here on MLB The Show, the show.
Now let's check out the moments of the week. On Players League opening night, video game art imitated real life. In the show 20, Joey Gallo takes Blake Snell deep in a eerily similar fashion to what happened at the real Tropicana field.
I barely play. I usually play Call of Duty.
You ain't kidding, but we gotta pick it up. Good Lord.
Gallo dominated in the first week, going 8-0, including this walk-off come-from-behind victory at the Rangers' new ballpark.
Let's go,
Wow.
This dog bites. Reds reliever Amir Garrett had the best reactions in week 1 on his way to a 6-2 record.
I'm a dog. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with the kid, dog. I'm a dog. I told y'all. I'm like that. Let's go. Get him up out of here, coach. Get him up out of here. Next. Let's go. Stop playing with me, dog. I took it easy on him. Let's go. Yes, sir. Small ball, baby.
No,
we
what?
play small ball.
He lays the bunt down successfully and a run scores.
There's nothing like the real thing, but virtual walk-off homers filled the hole in our hearts in week 1.
Let that big Murph. Big Murph. Let's go.
If anybody, all my D-backs fans, look at the video. I'm gonna hit my Carson Kelly celebration. Are you not entertained? I know you saw it. Oh man, what a game. Appreciate that, Jesus.
Hunter Pence, on his birthday, delivered perhaps the best moment of the Players League so far. His game with Brett Phillips went the distance, 9 innings, meaning 6 additional extra innings in this league. Pence walked it off with Buster Posey, then Pence's wife got in on the celebration.
Samardzija, you're going 3 next game. Need ya. Woo! It's a parade! Game 1!
Some of the best reactions from week 1 came from players hitting home runs with their very own avatars. Bo flows. Toronto stud Bo Bichette leads off a game with a self-dog.
Let's go.
You can bet Juan Soto wants to put a Players League trophy right next to his World Series ring on his trophy shelf. He went dead center with his own avatar.
Ooh. Hangs on him a bit that time as it's belted out toward deep center field. Going back is the center
You gotta go. You gotta go.
To lead off the inning.
Fernando Tatis Jr. is one of the most electric players on the diamond and with a dual shock controller.
Adios. Piso mojado. Piso mojado.
Outer half of the plate.
Oh!
Here are the Players League standings through Wednesday, April 15th. Bo Bichette and Blake Snell have a commanding lead in the AL East. The AL Central is a tight race with my guy, Nico Goodrum, tied with Lucas Giolito. Joey Gallo is on cruise control in the AL West with an undefeated 8-0 record. Mets star Jeff McNeil leads the NL East, and the dog himself, Amir Garrett, is tied with Cubs' Ian Happ for supremacy in the NL Central. Out in the NL West, Gavin Lux is leading, but Fernando Tatis Jr. isn't far behind. Now let's go to Chris Longo, who's standing by with MLB Network host Robert Flores.
Right, so joining us right now is Robert Flores, the co-host of MLB Network's morning show, MLB Central, which is producing digital segments every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Robert, you're what we're calling the master of ceremonies for the MLB The Show Players League, which is now streaming. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved with Players League?
Really, it goes back to my first console, which was Mattel's Intellivision when I was 9 years old back in 1979. So I've been a fan of video games, and obviously my current role at MLB Network, I've always wanted to try to bring the two worlds together. I love esports. I love the potential of it. I love where it's at. I love where it possibly could go. And I just love seeing Major League Baseball kind of be in that space for a little bit. I mean, this is a unique opportunity, albeit under very difficult and horrendous circumstances, but we're doing the best that we can, and we're still bringing baseball in some form or fashion to fans. And I think we're getting a chance in the Players League to see a side of the personalities of these players that you normally don't get to see. And I just, in my role, I just try to be, it's kind of three things. It's a little bit of play-by-play, it's a little bit of master of ceremonies, and it's a little bit of a fly in the wall. So I'm trying not to be too much in any of the roles. So I'm trying to walk a very fine line here, but I'm thrilled to be a part of it.
On Wednesday night, you had a really interesting exchange with Hunter Pence, and he talked a little bit about how this tournament is connecting him to players from all the other ball clubs in a way that's just not really possible during the regular season. What's it been like to see the camaraderie of these players develop over the last week?
Yeah, that to me is one of the more interesting parts of it too, because as Hunter said, listen, the season is so long, it's so intense. Maybe they get a chance to exchange a few pleasantries before the game. But other than that, as Hunter said, we don't shake hands after a game. So I think it's interesting to hear their interaction. You mentioned Hunter Pence. Last night he was playing Fernando Tatis Jr. And during the game, Hunter is detailing the first time he saw Fernando Tatis playing winter ball in the DR. So it's those kind of moments there that I think the fans find unique and special, and kind of gives them a peek behind the curtain a little bit.
So guys like Blake Snell and Trevor May, they've been doing that on Twitch. They're veteran Twitch guys and probably early favorites in this league. So they both rebounded after a tough opening night. Who's been the most surprising players on your radar so far?
I mean, it's Joey Gallo. Look, if you play MLB The Show, his cards are legendary, and you mash and you rake with the Joey Gallo card in MLB The Show 20. What I did not expect was that the real Joey Gallo would just go out and largely dominate the rest of the competition. I mean, on Thursday night, we have some pretty good matchups. Him against Gavin Lux and Bo Bichette. Both Gavin Lux and Bo Bichette are 7-1. So I'm looking forward to that. You mentioned Trevor May and Blake Snell, both those guys are veteran streamers. They're veteran players of the game. They play it a lot. So I'm not going to count those guys out yet, but Joey Gallo has been a revelation.
In our highlights package, we have a segment called Self-Dongs of the Week. And we saw a ton of home runs with guys using their own avatar, which was a lot of fun to watch. Which one was your favorite?
I think it was Fernando Tatis, seeing him homer as his virtual self. And by the way, he was wearing some sweet San Diego Padre brown and yellow uniforms that they're going back to this year. Just to see his reaction, it was great. I mean, he was really excited, really pumped. And I can't imagine what that must be like as someone who plays the game a lot. I mean, to homer in a competitive setting as yourself. I mean, I can't imagine it gets better than that.
So Amir Garrett's been so much fun to watch stream.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't take home the Players League title, do you think he'll be satisfied with the crown as the trash talk king?
Knowing Amir just a little bit, I would say he would not be satisfied. He would be pleased that he did get that award, but he would not be satisfied. He has been, as you said, one of the most entertaining streamers. And, you know, I give these guys credit because it is – I think it's very difficult to focus on the game. I mean, look, I stream video games. I stream MLB The Show on my Facebook page. And it is difficult because when you're streaming, you're looking at the chat, you're trying to be active, you're trying to answer questions and be engaging while playing the game and putting a good effort. So you have those two elements already. And then you have in MLB The Show, the 20, the Players League, you have my presence. And I'm, you know, like I said, I'm trying not to be too invasive, but I am asking questions. So, you know, you have this other person here asking questions. So it's a whole lot of things for them trying to keep straight.
How long did it take you to kind of feel comfortable with the format of the Players League and how these streams are working? I think you guys are starting to kind of switch on to different streams now on these feeds.
I mean, I think it was, look, it took a little while. I mean, we have to consider that these guys are all over the country. And we have men and women behind the scenes that are doing this remotely. We have basically one guy that has a de facto TV control room in his living room, and he's kind of managing and handling all the levers and pushing the buttons. So it's a technological feat, the fact that we can even get this on the air for people to enjoy. So there's going to be some hiccups. But I think that's to be expected, and we're just trying to roll with the punches as best as possible. And for my role personally, I think it took. I think after that first night, I figured out I don't need to do play-by-play as much. I just need to, as I said, just be a fly on the wall. You know, ask some questions. Just to kind of keep the conversation going, because sometimes you'll have players that are hyper focused and they don't talk, which is fine. That's to be expected. So that's where my role comes in, to try and fill in the gaps.
Eddie.
No. Oh no.
It's it.
Wow.
So we got to talk about the elephant in the room, which is so many fielding errors. There's just so many in this game. I played a Subway Series last night and had a full-on meltdown. What's going on in the field out here?
Well, you know, here's the thing. Sometimes, you know, because I've had that too. But there are times where the errors that I've made have been operator error. Right. So I think that, you know, we get so competitive and we want to do so well. And I'm talking about just casual players like myself, not talking about the major league players, that sometimes the mistakes we make, we blame the game or the console or the controller. So, I mean, look, I will say that there are times when, you know, people get that perfect and they line out. And I would submit to them, and I've had to tell myself this, that's baseball. If you want reality, that's baseball. Sometimes you hit the ball right on the screws, and it's an atom ball. It's right out of fielder, or it's a play that the fielder makes a great catch on. So I think it's a little bit of you know, sometimes it's a little overblown, but I know people are frustrated. And it's hey, ultimately it's because they care and they want to do well, and I can't argue with that.
So improving in the game is one thing, but improving at streaming is a whole nother thing. Who's improved the most over the first week at actually streaming?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think it's Gavin Lux. I mean, I don't want to speak out of school here, but I did not think that he was a big time streamer before this event. If he was, he was not on my radar. But I mean, if you're talking about just technically, his stream looks great. His gear looks good. He's got all the, the bells and whistles already. So I've really been impressed by the quality of his streams. And you mentioned guys like Blake Snell and Trevor May. I mean, those guys are streaming. They're streaming games other than MLB The Show. So they are veterans. And we also have some players in the league that this is their first time doing anything like this in terms of streaming. So that's been, I know it's been challenging for them. It's been challenging for the technical folks at Sony, but to everyone's credit, they've all been working hard to kind of reach that common goal.
I tried to tune into McNeil's stream. I'm a big McNeil fan.
Yeah.
And his game was over, and then it was just him playing with Alonzo and Nimmo in a first-person shooter, and I'm like, well, I guess could watch The Sopranos again, or I could just watch this.
Yeah. No, and I think the players recognize the ones that have not been doing this. I think, and it's the reason that I started doing it, started streaming video games. It's just another way to connect with fans, another way to talk baseball, and just to show a different side of your personality. So I think there are a lot of positives to it.
Can you give viewers a preview of what to expect in the Players League in the coming days?
Well, I know on Thursday evening, there's some really big matchups coming up. You got Joey Gallo, Blake Snell, Dante Bichette, Gavin Lux. All those players in Lux and Bichette's case, those guys are 7-1, and they're all going to be playing Joey Gallo, who is the only undefeated player thus far at 8-0. So I think Thursday evening could be a really, really good test. I'm trying to see. I think I got some notes here from Friday. Oh, you know what? Another thing is that on Thursday, kind of maybe a under the radar matchup, Dwight Smith against Juan Soto. Now, Dwight Smith is 3-1, and Nico Goodrum also has a good record. I think he's like 6-2. And I bring up those two guys specifically because they're using the Orioles and the Tigers respectively. And those lineups do not have the gold players, the diamond players that some of these other lineups. Like Gavin Lux's case, good player, obviously, good skills, but he's playing as the Dodgers. Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger, diamond players all over. But in the Tigers and the Orioles case, you're dealing with silvers, a lot of bronze players. So for Dwight Smith and Nico Goodrum to find ways to win, I think that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a huge factor going forward, especially in the playoffs, too. It's going to be really
absolutely
how that plays out. Well, Robert, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Thank you for keeping us informed and entertained with the Players League. Where can the people follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at RoFlo. You can find my videos and my streams at facebook.com/realroflo. I stream about 3 or 4 times a week.
Thanks for watching MLB The Show, the show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on my flow in the comments. I'll see you next time.
Like the sound of this video? All of our music was licensed from Soundstripe, a subscription-based royalty-free music library for filmmakers, podcasters, YouTubers, and more. Soundstripe. Keep creating.